Hello and welcome to the first of our project videos in Dynamics 365. I'm going to start showing how we can create a project quotation, which you may want to do before you actually create a project in detail. You can do this a number of ways. One is you can create a project first and then a quotation from that, or you can start from a quotation. So I'm going to show you the second of these two options to start with. So I'm just going to go into my workspace here and I'll see I've got a tile called project quotes. We're going to create a new quote here, and we're going to obviously we need to select a customer in order to do this, and the customer could be ourselves if it was an internal project, but in this case it is for a customer of ours called the construction company. It's got various different delivery addresses. And I'm just going to accept all the defaults here. I could obviously send this quotation to a particular contact within this customer if I wanted to, of course. And I've got various other settings on here that I could change, but I'm just going to accept the defaults for the moment. And the quote's in GBP. It's asking me if I'd like it to create an opportunity record as well to go with this quote. If I'm using sales and marketing module fully, then I may wish to do that. And the first thing we get here is a header, and we can also see down here on the left hand side a look up to an existing project. So as I said, we're not going to do that. We're going to create this quotation first, and then if the customer accepts it and everything is good, then we will create the project off the back of that. So internal notes are just for our use and will not appear on any external documentation. And external notes do appear on the quotation itself. So I'm going to say, please contact Alex next week. We have a spell checker to follow up, although of course Alex would probably follow them up as well. And let's say thanks for that. This is just a quick note on here. And now what we're going to do is use a work breakdown structure template to create some lines, project lines. And you can see our status at the moment, by the way, is created up here. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to work breakdown structure. And we can see we don't have one at the moment. So I'm going to import one. So we've got some templates in here. And you can have as many of these templates as you like. There's one here called building refit type. And effectively, you can in a template, it's asking me if I'd like to use the rate card for this customer instead of the rates for this particular work breakdown structure, because we can set rates per customer as well. In this case, I'm going to say no. We're just going to go with the standard rates that we have set up. And it's just giving me a warning about successes, but this is a quotation, so I'm not worried about this at the moment. And you see here, if I do an expand to all levels, then this is a template project where I'm basically using a QA person, an architect, and a project manager for categories. And categories are really the key way that these projects work, because you can price and cost by category, you can look at your utilization by category and so on. Anyway, so we are actually going to accept, and I can change the work breakdown structure here. I can remove the lines I don't want. I can change any of the quantities, anything I like in here. I'm going to accept it as it is for the moment for this project, and we will use it in its entirety, but I don't have to, as you can see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that work breakdown structure to generate my quote lines. So I'm going to create the quotation lines from the WBS. And okay, so what it's done is it's gone through that work breakdown structure and it's added in all the lines from it, as you can see, with the prices, the unit prices that we set. And the prices can be set by contract, by project, by default rate cards, etc. I've got a default rate card effectively for each of these types of each of these categories in here. And you can see the quantity in ours as well. It is also possible to put products, actual physical products and items and services onto quotes as well, but we're not going to do that in this case. Okay, so I have my quotation line. Let's go and have a quick look at the totals and see what we've got here. So yeah, so it's giving me my my subtotals, any charges I may have, any VAT calculations here, and a cost value potentially as well from the cost of those resources. Quantity is in hours in this case, and then a margin, of course, and then a number of hours in total for this project. Okay, so we are happy with that as an initial quotation. As you can see, I've still got a status of quote of created, and what I can't do at the moment is send the quotation to the customer. And the reason for that is because we have a workflow process in place, which means that this quotation has to be approved by somebody before it can be submitted. So the workflow is controlling the stages of the project effectively. So I'm going to submit this, and I could add text to it if I wish to. I'm going to submit this, and now you'll see that the quotation status up here has changed. I'm going to duplicate my tab here, and if I was somebody who was an approver of quotations, then I would see an approval come up here as a requirement for me to approve, and I would have to approve it or reject it or delegate it to somebody else. In practice, in this case, we have set this workflow up to automatically approve projects up to a certain value, and it's a higher value than this project, so it has been approved. That's what the status update is here. So we now have an approved quotation, and you'll see that I can now send the quotation. So this is an option here. You also see underneath revise as well. So we can make revisions, and it tracks the revisions on quotations as well. So let's do a send quotation, and we have different quote formats that we can use for this, and they're generally tailored for the customer as well, of course. So now our quotation status is sent. I have a quotation journal, which is the representation, if you like, of the document itself that's gone. And this is an example of a very basic template of the sort of thing that would go as a quotation. And obviously we can set it up to compress these lines if we want to, summarize them, have other detail, etc. But you'll see the description here was that external comment that I put on the quotation earlier. So that one will have gone electronically as a PDF, and then of course at some point the customer may confirm the quotation, we would hope, or we may have to go back and revise it, in which case we would go into this function here and we revise our quote, and then we could send it again and reissue it. At some point we're going to go into the follow-up area here to confirm. So the next stage is we have to tell the system that the customer has actually confirmed this quotation. If we've lost it, then we have a reason code that we put in here as to why we've lost the quotation, or lost the deal in this case, and we do track reason codes of why we've won and why we've lost, and those also link to the opportunity records. In this case, I'm going to confirm, and I can actually send a confirmation document off. This is what this print is for, to the customer to say, thank you very much, your quotation is confirmed. And at this point, we now have a confirmed quotation. The next thing to do is actually to create a project from here. And we can do that quite easily by clicking the transfer to project function, which opens up a wizard. So we've got some choices now about how we handle this quotation, because it may be a quotation that is part of another project, because we have sub-projects and a project hierarchy. In this case, we're going to create a new one, but the wizard is just a quick way of helping you go through this process. So as I said, we can update an existing project, but we're not going to do that. We're going to create a new project on the back of this. We specify what sort of project it is, be it a time and material or a fixed price project. We can set the default in the settings. I'm going to give it a code, BR3, building refurbishment 3. Let's call it that, building refurb 3. And I need to give it a project group as well. So in this case, it's going to be time and materials. I can use an existing project contract. If I have a contract for this construction company already, I can use an existing contract, or I can just create a new one. And I'm going to create a new one here, a new project contract ID. And I'm going to say next. And at this point, I can create a forecast for the project if I want to as well. I don't have to do that, but I'm going to do that, and I'm going to use the original forecast. So we'll say yes, and we're going to transfer these hours into the forecast. We may have put other things on this quotation, so we can put in fees, we can put in items. I think we're going to use items, expenses, of course. So if I'd done that, they would update in here, and we would see them in this list. And now I'm going to click finish. Would you like to make a copy of default financial dimensions from the quote header to the quotation lines? Yes, I would. Let's bring across the financial dimensions. So these are things like cost centers, department codes, and in some cases project code as well. Okay, so now we've got our quotation. It's been confirmed. If I were to close this list here and I was close the form, I can now see that I've got here I've got a project ID of BR3. Let's go and have a look at our project, because this will now be ready to start resourcing and putting other information on. And if I go into my project work breakdown structure, I will see the work breakdown structure that was carried over from the quotation in the first place. Okay, so that was a quick introduction on how project quotations can be used as an initial way of creating a project. In the next video, we'll look at more detail on projects themselves.